Today I'd like to welcome Dan Hunt from Cricks Nambour and Cricks Wisers Road to the conversation. Welcome aboard, mate.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks for making the time.
No worries.
Dan, before we get into the questions and the full conversation, tell us a little bit about your background getting into the car game and where you are now in Nambour and Wisers Road.
Yeah, okay. So I'm one of the lucky ones. Or the black sheep of the motor industry. I worked for Cricky now for 16 years.
Yep.
And mate, before that I was a miserable golf professional, so I had to go find a real job.
Yep.
But mate, yeah, long story short, 16 years ago I started selling cars in Nambour. And black sheep of the industry, because I've only ever worked for Cricky. So yeah, the industry has a lot of people change shops, but yeah, that's me. 16 years, went up through sales and become a dealer principal in 2017 with the group.
Fantastic. Now, in terms of the car industry, car dealerships, a lot about building the brand and connecting with the local community. Now, I know you're a big fan of radio, and in particular the brands, the Zinc and the Hot brands.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your affinity to radio and to the brands in terms of helping you build the brands you've worked for.
Yeah, it's the beauty of radio is it's easy to get a message to a large conglomerate of people in a short period of time.
Yep.
A lot of people are in their cars, driving to and from work. So the easiest thing is you get a message to a large amount of people quickly. The other great thing about radio, which you don't get in a lot of other media areas, is that you can personalise it. I like to record all my own radio ads.
Yes, you do.
I've even just introduced my son on a couple, which is quite fun and quite entertaining. But more than anything is, I've been on the Sunshine Coast since 1988 myself.
Yeah.
Being a Sunshine Coast local, I've been lucky enough to know a lot of people just through natural life. So, and it's funny, every time I get a new ad on the radio, people ring me up and it's usual jokes, I've got a face for radio and all that sort of stuff. But I think the personal message that comes across is not necessarily the product, but it's more about the human involvement or touch to it.
And helping you create that personality.
Yeah.
I guess with like a lot of businesses, what you're trying to do is create your personality across your brand. So when people come into the dealerships, they feel that no matter who they're talking to, they're an extension of who you are.
There's some consistency. It's
great.
important.
And I do remember the interaction that you used to have with Nugget and Al as well. And which is quite one of the strongest parts of what radio is as well, in terms of leveraging their personalities. And it's like two mates or three mates having it.
Exactly right.
Now, mate, the elephant in the room is the whole COVID-19 pandemic. Tell us a little bit about how you've adapted the business. Now, I know it's been tough in some areas, but tell us a little bit of how you've adapted.
So the first and foremost was the safety of our staff and customers. So we adopted the safety first. So we went down the road of making sure everything was sanitised, right?
Yep.
So we adopted social distancing. We in the service departments, all our customers could drop off their car. They'd drop the keys in the box. We'd grab the keys. We'd complete the service of the car. During the service, we'd wipe down everything that we'd touch in the car. We'd have the wrap over the steering wheels. All the mechanics and anyone that touched the car had the sanitised gloves on. And then we sanitise the car when we're finished before we go back to the clients. That's
in some ways probably cleaner than
That's probably a pretty consistent theme, but that was one way. We did the same with sales, with test driving, but we've adopted a new way in selling cars.
Okay. Tell us a bit about that.
So selling cars, the frustrating thing about the motor industry, and it probably has been for so long, is we're so rigid in doing things the way we've always done it, and 9 times out of 10 we want the customer to work to our process instead of us working to their process. So
I'm sure a lot of businesses can relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we found and we've been very reluctant to go to an online platform. So look, it's a bit of a trial stage at the moment, but on our website, cricks.com.au, we've got these modals that a person can actually go and get their trade-in value, pick their car, get a finance score, and do a checkout with a deposit.
Okay.
All online. So it's in its infancy. So it's something new that we're doing.
But I love the fact that you're working into the thought process of a customer in terms of what they're thinking as they're walking into the dealership. Now
Absolutely.
they can walk into the dealership online.
At night. They can do it whenever they like. So that's really cool. Where that leads us, who knows? Time will tell.
Yep.
But the other thing is the questions we ask our customers is, how do you want to do it?
Yeah.
How do you want to buy a car? Not hey, what you got to do is you got to come in for a test drive. We've got to see your car. It's more about, hey, how can we appease your needs? What do you need to achieve out of this? And then we can manage the process to suit them, not us, if that makes sense. So.
And has this current situation, has that fast tracked that thinking to a point to go, hey, you know what? If we're going to try this, might as well go all in now.
Yeah. So look, myself personally, I adopted that method of selling with my teams 4 or 5 years ago. But
in terms of gearing the business,
but now it's really ramped up. And the beauty of it is that our people have adopted it so much better now. They get it, right?
Yeah.
And look, one thing that's going to be great about COVID, and my theory is, you should never ever let a pandemic, a tragedy, or whatever it may be, pass you by. Because without a doubt, something will be significantly different at the end of this, and I believe that the businesses that do adapt, do change, or just simply get better, will be better off.